Hello. Hello, and welcome to this show. We will be playing The Dying World. And to begin with, to the show of Vibrant, Visible, Victorious. Let's begin with thanking our sponsors here. Sponsors. First sponsor is huge thanks to Tabletop Loot for our amazing dice sponsor. Providers of fine dice for all of your gaming needs. Head on over to www.tabletoploot.com and use the code WTTPDICE to get 15% off your next purchase. Maddie and his amazing merch shop are the sole provider of Welcome to the Party merch, so head over to www.sonerdwear.com and use the code WELCOME at checkout to get 10% off your next purchase. So Nerdwear, it's what the nerds wear. And WTTP is now proudly sponsored by Roll20, the virtual tabletop that runs straight out of your web browser. Everything you need to play with your friends is ready at the click of a mouse. From click-to-roll character sheets to built-in video and voice chat, you can even upload your own maps and tokens. Get that and more with a free basic account on roll20.net. Sign up now at roll20.net/start/WTTP. Also, again, a little bit of a shout out and thanks to the playmat and the deck of cards that we shall be using, which are courtesy from the Roll20 marketplace by Chi Seekins. So a huge thank you and shout out there. And finally, Welcome to the Party is proudly supported by Devin Rue, who has provided huge support to the community since we launched. For some of the best cartographical content on the web, check out rueinc.com. Additionally, we are also supported by Patreon. Our Patreon not only goes to support the channel and the people who support it. Your generosity also allows us to keep working on our mission to platform amazing LGBTQ and BIMPOC players and creators. So check us out at Patreon/WelcomePartyRPG. And as always, join us on our amazing Discord. And so, one moment. Getting a bit of a touch of a hiccup here. All right then, and to begin with, let us begin with all of our amazing players, the shards who shall be inhabiting these worlds during this session. To begin with, we have Kevin, down over, I believe, right below me on the overlay.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I go by Knickknack on all the different places where you find people putting pictures and words and things. And I'm going to. Are we talking about what we're playing yet, or are we waiting on that?
Well, we'll be discovering all of that
Gotcha.
as we draw the cards and figure out exactly what this multiverse has in store for us.
Sounds good. Well, I'm super excited for my character because she's the best, of course. And that's all I gotta say.
Right. And next to me is Katie. To the screen.
I believe it's to your right.
Yes, to my right.
Directions are hard.
Yeah.
So we said we're not talking about the character yet.
Not as much. We'll be.
I don't really know what else to say. This is my first time playing a game like this.
Welcome.
And the anxiety is very high. But we'll see where this goes. Bye.
And then below them, we have Kubo.
Yes. Hi. I am Kupo Knight. I go by Kupo Knight around the Discords and the Twitters. And my pronouns are they, them. Yeah, it's kind of weird not talking about the character yet, but they too are awesome.
All right. And and now to their right, here we have Angela.
Hello there, everybody. It's wonderful to be back in the Welcome to the Party space, especially on 3V again. I'm Angela, use she, her pronouns, and it's nice to be on this end of the table as opposed to panicking about all of the things and the several tabs of stuff that my players will entirely ignore throughout the course of one session. I look forward to how this will go, and my character, I'm excited to play this person who will in no way sass back at Quinn or Van, and I'm sure will not participate in any chaos making with Sasha. Ooh, that's a name. Let it slip.
Ooh.
We'll see what happens.
All right then. Well, I believe that name slip leads us to right above you with introducing Michi.
Hi, I'm Michi. I am all around the internet as Michisaurus. It has been a very long while since I have been on Welcome to the Party, and I'm excited about that. So, yay!
All right. So, and that is everybody as we begin this game of The Dying World. The Dying World being this lovely, lovely little multiversal card tarot game where, well, let's begin with figuring out what is happening here. As to begin this game, we begin by drawing cards and discovering together as a group the premise of this all. Who or what shattered our worlds?
It wasn't me, I swear.
Well, let us discover, eh? The first card here, as we shall... The first card draw. To discover this first question. As I shall be now putting... Boop.
I think my camera died
this,
again.
This is going to be...
This is going to be a thing.
This is going to be great.
I promise I'll be right back.
Oh, we'll see you soon.
Oh.
We'll see you soon. But
that was some good timing for that.
This is the tarot cards are right. Tarot, what can I say?
Oh.
This is a good start.
This is a most auspicious start.
I promise this is not usually what happens. This is a new camera and it should be working fine.
Technology, it's fine.
I don't like you, camera. You look good, but
you do look so good.
Berating the camera, that'll help it behave. Sure. Yeah. That's how it works.
I mean, it works for some people.
Yeah.
It does. So, as we discovered that drawing our first card, Death. The card Death.
Ooh. Having to be a happy session.
Yeah.
What shattered our world? So, as part of this, we all come together and we'll toss in ideas and discover from this card. There are some questions. First, I'm sorry. One moment.
Well, that also gives us all a moment to think over some of the questions.
Yeah.
With the first question being...
Oh, that was
it... Yeah, with the first question being, was it an undeniable force of nature? Perhaps a repercussion, I guess going into all the questions a little bit. Was it a repercussion for a great sin? The desired outcome of an intelligent mind? A shocking consequence of a good action? We don't have to answer every question, but these are questions that have been set to guide us as we explore and discover and figure out how death is coming to the multiverse.
So
Well,
I,
Oh,
go ahead.
Michi.
I was gonna say with tarot traditionally, death is less like death
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
more just drastic change.
Drastic
Mhm.
Hmm.
So I feel like it might have been something very sudden.
Yeah.
That just kind of came out of nowhere.
I
Hmm.
feel like shattering of like a multiverse seems very sudden. I don't think this was. This definitely doesn't seem like a slow burn.
Yeah, no.
I definitely agree with the like a sudden thing happening.
But what is the question?
Yeah.
I guess that's their job, though.
Indeed, as we come to all describe. So we have here, it is a sudden, drastic change, a quick one, something that has permeated through the multiverse with no warning. We mentioned a shattering of perhaps some fundamental force of all that holds the multiverse together. Something perhaps a little more quite as not quite as esoteric.
It looks like there's a lot of like in the imagery for the card itself that there are people bowed down in prayer, and they, from my sense of it, my immediate response is like they don't seem scared. There's no element of like fear. There's just a sense of just down on their knees in prayer.
Very somber.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's but they're not terrified. They just seem like they're almost resigned to this. So maybe like it happens suddenly, but maybe this is like a messenger people like maybe saw coming, because like the color scheme seems such like vividly contrasted with what the people on the bottom right of it are, versus the initial figure seems like foreboding but doesn't look like, it's not bloodied, it's not terrifying, it's just,
Well, there's that dead
Isn't
body behind it.
there
I
a
mean,
body?
well, I didn't see the body.
Oh,
Oh.
and
My screen
well,
is-
that's a good point, because it's like in the foreground, it's like, yes, there's this very somber, it's like people are in prayer and they're like, it's almost like this, we're just giving in kind of, because like in the background there's a fire going on.
Is it a fire, or is it just like the sunset of the day, like the sun setting on the universe?
Well, there goes my
or-
mind. I think it's a fire.
Okay, no, I mean it's kind of
Well-
unclear, so I wasn't sure. I was just like kind of throwing it out there. I
That
was,
is a good answer, though.
Yeah.
Can it be a sunset?
Do we want
Well,
to
I mean,
listen?
with a sunset, it
is
is,
the sun not just a great ball of fire?
and
Burning.
that will eventually burn itself out.
There we go.
It's
It is
actually,
what it is.
actually, we were all wrong. It's not a sunset, it's a meteor.
Oh, so dinosaurs
Well, I mean, that-
then.
The fire is growing. It's not going down. It's growing. I see.
No, but that actually, that's a good point though. That seems like consistent throughout, or like regardless of the joking, like that, like there's something about heat, there's something about an intense light that's suddenly coming, or maybe being snuffed out. It's something that seems consistent throughout different folks' interpretations.
Yeah.
It
Like-
also kind of sorry, go ahead.
No. Go.
It kind of just reads that, there's stuff going on in the background that you're not aware of, because that body's kind of hidden behind the horse.
Oh,
And they're not
Oh.
paying it any attention.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that
I like
too,
that.
because it also
Mhm.
seems like maybe not all of us knew what was happening, all like how this went down all at once. So we're all
Mhm.
coming, like we know we need to do this, but we're all like,
What?
okay, we're at different levels of like, some people are like, I know exactly what this is and we need to stop, and some of us are like, okay, I guess I'm saving the world.
It's like, I just wanted cereal.
It sounds really good right now, actually. So.
It does. I'm very hungry. I'm
I
sorry.
just got hungry at the start of this. Okay, yeah, random. Sorry.
This happens every time I'm involved in any stream with Kupo. It's food will come up.
I don't
Just
Alright
never
then.
met me before. Anyway.
So
I do like the idea that's like it's mostly a natural thing, like sort of something to do with fire or the sun, or like some natural event, impending natural event. But there is like a human or a humanoid or intelligent element to it, where like we have like almost this harbinger coming to announce that things are that this change is coming. And it's not just the fact. It's not just this sort of natural thing that can't be negotiated or like that can't be sort of interfaced with. That's something just to be dealt with. That there is some sort of other opposing force as well.
All right. Something natural that is being heralded by something, someone, a group, perhaps.
A group
As-
of
Them
words.
Spaniard-looking motherfuckers on white horses, and
No, it's well because the thing that made me cringe, but I think is also good about that idea, is it's a banner too.
Mhm.
Like it's a flag, so maybe that's a symbol of like the actual group heralding this. It's like you are all damned and you're all fucked.
There we go.
be fucked with us.
That's a mood.
That is a mood. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
too real, Angela. I don't know if we should.
Yeah, we can nix that one. I'm
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
No,
with
no,
it.
no.
No,
No,
it's
that was a
good- no.
joke.
Oh,
was-
okay.
Yeah, that was a joke. I would be putting up I would be doing the X right now. Like, it's fine. Yeah, this is.
All right.
Oh god damn it, Michi! I just read what you wrote in the chat.
Right?
God damn it.
Panic basket.
All right.
Yeah, I like that.
All right then. So something that should have occurred normally and fine, perhaps exasperated, perhaps brought on, accelerated, something touched by some individual group.
Do we
That sounds
want
like
it
a-
as a group?
Group.
Yeah.
I think
fine with that.
perhaps with the heraldry and the idea of there's something that drives people coming together, and the spreading of messengers does imply a sort of organization. All right. So now that we know, we have an idea of who or what shattered all of our worlds, let us call upon the second question in this premise. Who or what granted our powers? Where we each were given powers, perhaps consciously by someone or something, or perhaps they awoken as they were needed, as this mass proclamation was sweeping the multiverse. Or perhaps it was all an accident that we can't walk away from. And we discover that the source, that the card that will tell us about it is, the Wheel of Fortune.
Ooh.
Let me see.
So,
Do we want to read the Oracle guide entries for each of the cards, or do you kind of just want to go off? Or
that
Kind of
wouldn't be a
general
bad
knowledge.
idea. No.
Okay.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
looks like Wheel of Fortune is on page 55, the last entry. If you want to look it up.
That wouldn't be a bad idea, actually, to let everybody have an idea, and also for, perhaps just saying the words out loud will also provide a little bit of inspiration. So, here we have the Wheel of Fortune. Fortune favors the bold, movement and vision, Lady Luck, probabilities, sudden turning of fortunes, miracles and the unexpected. But also beholden to a higher power, a lack of control, sudden changes, the influence of karma and past lives. I feel also just saying those words out loud, also sudden changes,
Mhm.
sort of ties in with the rather quick and sweeping bits of information that we have garnered and gleaned from the first card.
Sort of the themes of karma and influence of past lives and things. Kind of, it rings to me at least like the whole multiverse getting its comeuppance. Like we all did something and we thought we swept it under the rug, and now it's coming to bite us in the ass. That's just me though.
It could also mean that what's started is now in motion and can't be stopped.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
But what in particular is inevitable, we don't know yet. It's just
Correct.
something is going to happen.
Yeah.
And this is how you get all of your powers. So this is the source of it.
Oh, I definitely do like the idea that the source of the power is there's something that we all have done that maybe we feel the need to atone for or come to terms with, here at the end of the multiverse.
Well, maybe not just a tone, because I feel like if you say something like a tone, that implies an element of like the thing that happened in the past was automatically negative, which I think constricts all of what we could all draw from collectively. Because or at least I'm saying for what I'm thinking for my character, I don't think she thinks she's done anything wrong.
That's also absolutely fair.
Because she is cotton candy.
So more something that kind of like fundamentally changed something.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe it had like a ripple effect outwards, and that just has had different aspects across all of the multiverse. Because the other thought, and this is just something I'm just throwing out there to see if anyone wants to play around with it, is I noticed that there are 5 distinct, perhaps creatures, or because of the winged-like nature of each of the little depictions in the card, they almost look like, they remind me of angelic sort of messengers, but they're not just all humanoid. They're all like
there's a bird, a cat, and a bull, and I guess a person.
Yeah, one looks like a griffin, like almost.
Yeah, so what if it was something
Tag
where
in the tarot card on the snake.
Technically,
the red one is that like
it looks like some sort of demon devil sort of thing.
Okay.
Oh, it does. I thought it was a fox.
But then if that's that, what's the one?
It does have like a sort
top?
of Animalia type of head.
Yeah.
I think on top of the wheel looks like sort of a sphinx. That the headdress vaguely resembles like
Egyptian. Yeah. What's that got to play? Well, like that also kind of shows the reasoning for the posing, I guess, of the two on the bottom. They're very sphinx-like, like the big statues and stuff.
Yes.
What if
also?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, what if like these are all messengers, and this is the poses that they all presented in when they met each of us. Like there's just a sphinx that was there who's just like, sup?
With this big fuck off sword. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have a paw out and they're like, sup.
And then there's like a draconic entity who's just like, hello there.
It feels like it fits the snake more, but okay.
Yeah, I felt like that fit the snake.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
All right.
This design in the center though is interesting.
It is.
It's got a bunch of sigils.
Here,
Spell.
Oh, that's really nice. I was thinking like a map coordination, like a compass, like an old-fashioned kind of compass design. But I like that sigil one.
I only say that because the one right underneath the Sphinx thing at the top, that's the sigil for Saturn, I believe.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of these look planetary.
Yeah, some of them are planetary, some of them are elemental, because the very bottom is water.
You're right. I'm like, I recognize that.
I feel like I see some of these in Norse as well, but I'm not.
There's some runes. It looks like that's interesting.
Seems like.
What if it's
How
Oh.
curious.
Oh wow! Like I'm just imagining because the idea of the multiverse, it's like every single version of us. This is the actual design of something that points to each universe in some capacity. Like it
Maybe
switches.
each ring spins independently.
Exactly. Like it's not just a two-dimensional design. It's like it has 3 dimensions to it. So whichever
Mhm.
specific way it points, it's a certain elemental and cosmic alignment.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
kind of what I'm getting from that. Yeah.
Like point for that way for the void. Point for that way for pentacles. Point for that way for. Oh, you don't want to go there.
It's GPS
Hey.
recalculating.
GPS.
That's what happened. The GPS broke and everything just cracked right along with it.
Well,
Game solved. I'm kidding.
Multiverse
I'm
version
kidding.
of a refresh.
all right.
Sorry.
So your powers, they come about granted just alongside with this aligning of all the pieces of the multiverse just coming together at the right moment. And as it does, messengers sent to each one of you. How does that sound?
That
Sounds great.
Right?
Go for it.
Dibs on the snake.
I want snake.
I called a bird because the bird is the word.
He's got a book.
Bruise.
Or it's got a book, yeah.
Feelings.
Yes. So, and as all these messengers descend upon each and every one of you, bearing powers, bearing, which in essence are themselves the messages to be messages, we find with that how the solution, how you can all save your worlds with this final draw.
Ooh.
Okay, temperance.
Literal angelic being. Save.
I am not going to be helpful in this adventure.
So, well, you never know.
Might be.
You never know. So, as we draw upon temperance, balance and equilibrium, health and healing, harmony and rising energy, the guidance of angels and beings of light, but also unable to exert will and force at the end of one's rope, falling into disharmony, refusing to trust the process. So,
How curious indeed.
it is curious. We have all these moments, these instigations of change that happen rather quickly. And perhaps now to find some way to accommodate the new normal, the new way.
Fuck that.
I was like, somebody seems very unhappy with this.
Or to find some sort of solution.
Cool.
Your thoughts?
This is gonna be weird. That's the thought. I have no idea what to expect anymore. Actually, I didn't to begin with, but yeah.
So, like, with temperance, the whole thing is about balance and not too extreme one way, not too extreme another way. And I feel like, especially with the archetypes and the playbooks and everything, each of us kind of has our own piece of what that balance should be.
Oh.
And the way to save everything is to figure out how they fit together and how to modulate each other.
Considering the character I'm using, that's a very interesting take on the subject.
So with our powers combined, we can save the universe.
Captain Multiverse.
All right. As
Mr. Manhattan.
Yeah, I believe we just walked into all of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything
sure
is
did.
changing. Messengers are coming about. The worlds are falling into deep somber and herald this harsh change. Well, maybe not even harsh, but a significant, sweeping acceptance of what is to come being heralded. And now, throughout in pieces, perhaps to figure all of this out, scattered across the multiverse. And we all have to put all our powers combined together and put it. And
That's a
You just
big-
tell me that the
Bro.
messengers that gave us our powers brought rings.
there's
do we
nothing that
have
says there's nothing that says that you can't that couldn't have happened.
Oh, boy.
Do
You shall
we-
know them by this ring.
do we by any chance have to utter a phrase that involves that involves us sticking out the rings in a specific gesture and for some reason changing to like very brightly pastel colored suits? to
Yes,
battle in?
I knew the pastel would come back.
I'm just gonna bypass the ring and go straight up Care Bear stare because that's
All right. So
rainbow.
sorry.
but actual thought to this.
Yes.
Okay, rather than angel, it seems like what if it was just a humanoid that has like bird-like wings or something? What if it's like
Oh, yeah.
finding the spot where the different overlaps of, because like there's a sense of like going into this we're supposed to save all the worlds, but does that mean saving that involves keeping them entirely separated from one another, or is there
Interesting.
possibilities of the overlap of different worlds existing peacefully? Because
I like the latter, but
yeah, because part of me thinks it's like, well, we could go straight up. That's an angel holding like a cup. But another thought is like, what if it's just a human that has just developed?
It is a
wings?
multiverse.
yeah.
Anything could happen.
And
And
again,
like that,
worlds.
that really does make it very interesting just considering the plan that I have for my character. Like these directions y'all are going, I'm just like, oh really? Is that how this is gonna end? Okay.
This will end. It's the joy of it.
And at least to me, it looks like in the death card, it looks like a sunset, but in the Tempered's card, it looks like a sunrise almost. So it's like almost like the change of a new day and how the world changes with it, and that with the world being the multiverse, and like in that new change, if we do have to like bring them closer together, overlap somehow, or maybe combine them in order to save the multiverse, so to speak. Maybe that.
That's one way to look at it. It's like we've been stuck at sunset across the multiverse, and we're looking for a sunrise.
Oh. Things were supposed to progress and the wheel was supposed to keep turning and it got stuck.
Ooh.
And we gotta figure out how to unstuck it.
How do we keep the wheel turning?
Yeah. Exactly.
English.
Because we're all coming from different spots. Because maybe it's like it naturally we weren't supposed to interact, and now that it's stuck, we're like, hey, we're having backup on the interplanar highway 75. There's just
Please use an alternate route if possible.
Oh my lord.
you have to take a detour through the fire plane, then you talk to the angelic, then you got to go talk to the guys over there. There's lizards over here.
Perhaps in this idea of things stopping the wheel as everything was coming together, something as it brought to a halt, this group, whatever, brought it to a halt, and perhaps things came together, but maybe not quite how they should. Like, perhaps I'm walking down the street and now there's, I don't remember there being, is that half of an upside down volcano jutting out where the supermarket once was?
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Oh,
Wait,
oh
the
no.
top half or the bottom half? Or the left or the right?
The middle.
Well, exactly.
So just all the lava parts.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Just there.
The part
It's
most likely to make you go nope, 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 nope.
A volcano shaped of lava.
So
why is it
now,
just all-
and now to figure out how to use all your powers combined and keep everything moving, and to so that everything doesn't just stay in this new, weird, odd patchwork of everything.
I like
How does
that.
Yeah. This is going to be very interesting, to say the least.
All right. So, as we now move on to, as now we have settled our premise, let us now move on to who are these individuals? So, let us move. Well, I started with let's go in the same order of that from the introduction. So in the odd, going down and then sliding up and all of that.
Snake.
Yes, the snake, the messenger snake.
It was the snake. Snake.
So, to begin with,
So I suppose that'd be me. And
indeed.
I am playing Emperor Quinn, last of her name. She is the Queen of Swords, insightful, truth-seeking, and merciless. Let's see, and I suppose I need to draw a card for my origin, which is a weapon, I suppose.
Indeed.
Do I draw a major or a minor arcana?
It's
Major.
Major.
Major. Yep, the words.
Minor
are-
arcana are used to
Reading
determine
them all.
outcomes.
Draw.
So
If you
tiny
can-
by you.
If you can
Ah.
drag it out to the
The magician? What?
Oh, I don't know what that means.
well.
Right? I give up. She's got magic. I'm out.
Yeah.
She got magic
So
on her side.
let's read
Swords
the
and magic.
let's
That's
read the
not-
magician.
That's breaking it.
Raw power, intention made real, resourcefulness, innovative, forceful, the power of manifestation and using every tool available, but also irresponsible uses of power, arrogance and pride,
God.
lack of insight, reflection, and arrogance,
Yeah, on brand.
aggression.
It's your fault.
It
So,
might be, but I would never admit that.
Fair.
take
Delegate the
note
blame.
that your So take note that your origin is the magician.
Mhm.
A world at which, by your title, you rule. And what is your signature weapon?
Let's see. The signature weapon is just a big fuck off glaive, just a big heavy ass glaive.
That, yeah.
It's big, it's obnoxious. It's as tall as she is, maybe like about a head taller with the blade, and the blade is like maybe a hand width wide.
All right.
Just like real classic wuxia shit.
Whose hand, though? Hands are different sizes.
Ah,
Sorry.
depends. Doesn't matter.
All right. So, and what was your world
My
based off
world
of this card?
was
Just to put in just a couple of words, an idea.
let me see. The deck ran out of cards.
Oh. Did it run up?
It only lets you pull one?
Oh. Let's just.
Yeah, when I tried to draw another, it just,
no,
I got
sorry.
embarrassing.
Sorry, I had to reshuffle that.
Okay.
Interesting.
The High Priestess.
Sorry. Where your world come? That question. Where did your world come from? Is still part of the first major arc. Yeah.
Okay.
The second. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Where did my world?
Sorry.
What world did I come from? I came from a world of war and conflicts and constant struggle, and I cut my way through the weeds and all of the bullshit and all the politics in order to gain power and overthrow any who would call themselves king instead of me. And my world had suddenly I suppose that my world was, it was harsh, but it was mine. That's a good way to put it.
It was harsh. It was yours, and now it is both yours and not.
Yeah.
And...
Well, if it can't be mine, then it might as well be nobody's.
Okay, that is all right then. Good to know. And
you caused the shattering.
I told her fault.
As with the second
is the solution, I am not going to be of any help, as I said.
Perhaps, as with the second card here drawn, this is your power, your shard. Something that when everything happened, when the messengers came to you, this is what arrived. Which, just to read it out, the High Priestess, receptivity, intuition, dreams and mystery, subtle powers and secret knowledge, ancient wisdom beyond human ken and experience. But also, note, passivity, silence, inaction, and not knowing how to go after what you want. So, that is your power. That is what was in this vast wheel. Sorry. This is what the messengers have bequeathed to you.
Yeah, a power. Sure. Yeah, sure. Not a curse, a power.
Potato.
So, from that, what did it grant you from this?
Maybe I would have got a better power if I didn't kill that snake and pickle it in whiskey and drink it, and then have a weird trip vision, and then suddenly start doubting myself because the snake now speaks in my head. And
okay.
Oh well.
Well, all right then.
Well, and what was this vision that it granted you?
It showed me the my reign ending, my throne crumbling, and but it did not show me any way of preventing that from happening. And it showed me that power is not a permanent thing of power. That power is something that's power is not everlasting, but it doesn't. But this vision did not show me how to fix this problem.
No.
That it calls wisdom.
Well, this is quite a predicament, isn't it? Well, so take note. You've noted these two, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, because I'm about to just take them back and shuffle off as we move to the next person. As we move in this odd serpentine pattern, passing me, and going up to Katie.
Okay.
1 second. I'm just gonna.
So I pull the card. You gotta shuffle first, and then I pull
Yep.
the card, and then we talk, right?
Yep.
Okay. Did it work? Do I click on it?
You
I
drag
have to
it
click
out.
the word draw. No?
You drag it.
I tried. It didn't do anything.
If you go to the top of the deck.
Yay, roll 20.
Ooh.
Ooh. That's kind of fitting, I think. For
All right. So
that actually plays exactly into what I'm trying to do.
So this is your treasure.
Oh. treasure. That's such a weird way to think about it. What does this card actually mean?
Yes, so going to the guide with judgment. This is answering your destiny, absolution, reckoning, a clarion call, renewal and resurrection, rising to the challenge, rebirth and transformation, but also the responsibility of power, hard choices, and the inability to avoid your destiny.
Well, let me write that down.
Which also we should note which playbook you're using. Sorry.
I'm
Just to
looking
let
at
everyone know.
I'm looking at the play kit link thing. I don't understand what I'm supposed to explain.
Oh,
which archetype are you?
Which archetype?
That's what you meant. I was like playbook. Huh?
Archetype is another word here for playbook.
Oh, okay. It's Scion of the Void, and I definitely took this very literally in the sense that, well, I can't talk about that one. Wait, is the whole thing of like the world part of the first card?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that music is really distracting.
Sorry.
So the premise is that there was no world, there was nothing, and suddenly here it is. There is no name for it, and it's just there. And the description that Sign of the Void has, I have the wrong tab open, is you never had a world, you never had life before now. You were part of the shattering, you tore apart the multiverse, but somehow you came into being, aching for redemption. And again, I took that very literally in creating this character. And it's going to be very interesting with the premise of trying to find balance and everyone living together. It's like, can that actually happen while it is, wandering around? I think that's what this is hard.
All right. So.
I don't know what else to say about it.
All right. So, take note that your origin. Your origin is that of judgment.
So, do I have to actually answer that specifically?
As you can answer it a little loosely, but our judgment, your origin is in how did you come into being, and what will your redemption be?
Well, I feel redemption would definitely be finding the balance and not having to cease to exist or go back to the nothing that it was before, if that is what can happen, because we haven't figured everything out yet. I take things very literally, and thinking about judgment on a very literal sense, this is the thing that has to happen. The way things are going is what pushed all these different worlds to this one converging point, and the decision that is made determines what happens, and it all kind of centers around it, but it doesn't know that.
All right. So with that, let's draw your second card, which will be, what is your power?
Why is there a token in the middle?
It's fine. Oh.
Huh.
What? I wasn't anticipating that. Can I get the definition?
Sure. The lovers. Destined love and the glory of romance, perfect union and solidarity, grand gestures and heightened drama and emotions, but also reckless choices, codependence, an immoral choice is made, drama over true connection and learning.
Oof.
So this
Played well.
is your power. This
Huh.
What does it transform from when you first began existing? Are you still in the middle of transforming?
I guess, are we talking about physical transformation or otherwise?
Either, both, one or the other.
Okay. Because this is a being that didn't actually exist before, but well, how do I want to word this? It's not weird. I guess it's the very fabric of the multiverse wanting to be a part of all the universes, and it just manifested into this thing that is now trying to, I guess, find its way, find its place or something along those lines. And in the premise of like the lovers and wanting to be liked and accepted, is emotion the right word there? I guess the strength of that want is so strong, and that helped form this thing. And again, it doesn't have a name. That's why I keep saying thing, because it does. There's no others to talk to. There is no established society. It's just there, and it influence is very strong. That's kind of the main thing of its power, because it's very selfish. It wants all the attention, all of it. You have to love me, my way or the highway, and just leave it at that.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna end there.
All right. So, as we now move down. Hello, Kupo.
Hi.
Hello. Are you? Let us figure.
Should I
Well, your
intro
origins.
first before the cards?
Yes, go for it.
Sure. So, I will be. Oh God, which tab is it? I will be playing from the Princess of Wands archetype or playbook, and the character is driven by is daring, passionate, destructive, and I kind of want to read this because it's kind of funny.
Sure.
So this is the description of the name. A strong name, a loud name, a name that threatens to blow things wide open, a name that sounds like the fire, a name that starts shit up. I think that's amazing. So yeah, that kind of gives you an idea of Evangeline, but going by Van. And Evangeline is kind of their stage name, or as they like to call it, a revolutionary name. They're revolutionary in their world, and they're kind of using I forgot the right word. They're using their like troupe, they're like kind of circus troupe, as a means of not only like kind of hiding their identity, but also using it as their way of fighting back against their like establishment on their world. So they're kind of doing like their means of protest are like very artistic, very theatrical. So yeah, that was kind of like my basis for this character. So yeah,
So
let's see what the cards actually tell me what my character is.
yes. And it tells you
That's my
yes,
ideal,
your
but...
origin and what deserves destruction.
Oh boy. Oh, okay. Can I just drag it?
I believe you should be able to just drag it out.
Papa.
I mean,
kind of fitting.
the Fool is good for like new beginnings, which is pretty revolutionary.
Yeah.
That is true. That is a very well-timed card.
Oh my god, that's great.
The universe provides. Or in this case, the multiverse provides.
The multiverse provides. Just to read it out, as we have been,
Yeah.
the Fool spontaneity, openness, trust, vulnerability, the beginning of a great adventure on the precipice of something new and exciting. But also, naivete,
Yep.
a sucker in the making, foolishness, not thinking things through, missing the obvious and the dangerous.
Oh man, I could
So-
totally play that up.
So out of this, what deserves destruction?
Ooh. What deserves destruction that connects with the fool? Oh, this kind of makes it hard. I think I'm also like Katie. I take things pretty literally, so I'm like, what?
Perhaps more of this, the fool is what you hope to come, what you hope to bring about after the destruction. And so what needs to be destroyed in order to let this occur? To let this live?
Once again, there's a big fucking sun on this card. I don't know, just pointing that out.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, I know I want to play into that sun motif. That's for sure.
So you mentioned Van is a revolutionary,
Mm-hmm.
or do you want
Or, like,
suggestions and things?
I guess, I think in their mind it's revolutionary, but I think in like right now, like at that stage that they're in their world, it's very much like there's that goddamn like protester like doing their weird ass art shenanigans again, like, but they are trying to start something, like spread that a message of something. And I think it fits the Fool card, whereas like I feel like, damn, I don't know, I think it's a world coming out of like homogeny and stillness and the status quo, and they definitely want things to change, like literally change, for everyone to have that more open-mindedness, hence why their acts are very more on the creative side, because it's something against the grain, something that is not every day. It's like, oh, here's this bright graffiti display, here's these like fireworks coming out of nowhere, to bring
Well,
a little chaos.
Well, in one sense, your wish has been granted.
Yeah, and like, yeah, I could see like, oh well, I guess job's done thing.
But is that the end of it?
No, probably not.
So, and as you come to that realization, let us draw your second card, your power.
Oh god, here we go. This is minor, right?
Still major.
Oh,
Major.
okay. My bad.
Also have one in your hand.
Oh yeah, we gotta pull that one out of your hands.
Oh, I will. I'll just
Oh, wait,
take
what
that
happened?
card. I'll just put that.
Oh, why is it? Oh, because I did the draw mechanic thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot I
just-
could just drag it.
yeah. Would you like me to? Would you? Well, you did technically draw it. Would you like?
Could I drag it? Could I drag
can-
this one into?
You can drag it right out.
Oh, that's spoilers. Okay.
Oh, look at now it's fire.
Well,
What two? Wow, what two differing images right there.
so the power is given to you, structure and authority, the comfort of law and order.
What the hell?
Ooh, the revolutionary has tasted
Wow.
power and likes it.
Importance of family and society, the strength of leadership and command, but also control, taking advantage.
I don't like this. I don't like this.
Inflexibility, dependence on tradition.
This
Is
so
what was given to you. And
They all
how do
traded
you?
you.
stupid, Griffin.
What what is the power? This power to impose. How does it manifest, and how do you wield it?
Wow. I think. Oh man, this is going to be really interesting on how they will not like this power at all. They're like, I kind of want to. I guess with the background I gave them, I think it's just, and how I was saying before, how they want people to be more thinking of their own, on trying to be open-minded. I think their power would be definitely more on that, like, the power of, what's the, I don't know if this, like, the wording is strong enough, like the power of suggestion, of just having, like, basically commanding people.
Yeah.
Influence and intimidate.
Yeah, to influence people, to having that charisma as a power, and that goes against everything that they don't want to do. So I feel like
forcing your view on others is part of the emperor.
This will be very interesting.
I don't want you to think like me. I want you to think like yourself.
Yeah, but they're like, yes, I will think myself. No.
But yourself is wrong.
So you're the revolutionary version of the Purple Man, essentially.
Yeah.
You're the less terrible, shitty version.
And hopefully not
everything else that was terrible about the character.
Yeah, because the
good a villain as
is
it was.
frightening.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Kincaid from Jessica Jones.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's from the show.
Yeah, it's
David Tennant was
basically that kind of, like, a literal demonstration of that kind of power, where it's like, if the character was like, go stand over by that fence and hit your head against the wall until you fall asleep, you would feel compelled to do that. That's the sort of
very nice.
We have Van in the party.
This will be fun.
My favorite couple of colors. I'll just throw out there. Oh, purple's my favorite color.
So, well, we shall see how that works and manifests a little later, eh? Let's take the cards back, shuffle up the deck, and let us move to your right. To Angela, what is your archetype?
My archetype is from the playbook of Prince of Pentacles. I am the Princess of Pentacles. Thank you very much. The keywords associated with me are grounded, trusting, and earnest. And my name is Nady. I am, in terms of general description, a relatively short, brown hair, sort of lightly brown and amber tone sort of skin person with dyed red hair with brown roots and a very nice and simple kind of like floral blouse that kind of leads into this longer dress, where if you ever imagine like the Queen of Hearts from like the Disney Alice in Wonderland kind of idea, where it kind of like falls down with like a bell shape and then the bottom gets kind of frumpy. Imagine if the bell shape and the frumpy part, it happened higher up, so it only went like halfway down the thighs and then it got more frumpy and it sprouted out, so I look like I'm a blooming flower in my outfit.
All right,
there's a reason for this.
Yes, so let us draw your first card and see, what treasure are you seeking?
What treasure am I seeking? Let's see. What world did I come from? What treasure am I seeking? We shall pull forward. Okay, is it drag it over to the first one? Because I'm dragging it over and it's not doing that.
It looks like you have to drag the under card that's above the top card. That's the one you drag. If you click on the top looking one, you have to press draw.
There we go. Oh, I drew death.
Wonderful.
It's a corpse flower, apparently.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
That's true. It does look like that. Sort of.
Okay, I have an idea. I had some initial brainstorming thoughts about this. This is just going to go in a much weirder direction than I originally had, which is great. I love going weird.
I mean, we just mentioned that how everything is now weirdly stitched together. So
weird is the name of the game.
Indeed.
I would like to think in saying, like, and thinking over like the world that I came from, that it was one where thought becomes reality, but only in relation to nature. So there's a sense of a constant attachment to things of a naturalistic bent, but especially a gardening kind of bent, and an almost fey-like nature to the way that thought manifested into reality. So the outfit that I have is just something that came about from that, where I experimented and I tried to just see, oh, could I just change clothes to look a little bit more like how I'd want to be? And I have an almost like fey-like essence that's come from that. But I like to think, playing off of the themes of the card of death and just sort of the messenger sort of aspects that I get from this horseman with bearing a banner and such, that I'd like to think I specialized in fungi and a lot of things that were closer to decay and to death. And that there's an element where people used to look at me very like cruelly and with a level, sometimes with reverence and sometimes with a sense of like, get away. Like what you are is terrible in relation to the brimming life. But it's sort of that way I think of how a lot of people typically associate fungi versus a nice pretty flower. Fungi sometimes are things which grow from the very decaying and dead things of a forest or the ground. And I'd like to think part of the treasure that she found at one point and that she's still, that I'm seeking, is before the multiverse expanded, there was a wand that she found one day when she tended to this small little patch of weeds that other people were like, oh, it's gonna die and it sort of deserves to die, it's fine. Like, it's a terrible nuisance. And I like to think that Nady cared for it, tended to it, and just gave it a chance. And from it sprouted this 3-piece, almost kind of scepter-like wand that is a mixture of, the top of it is a petunia, a peppermint petunia scepter, the cap of it to the scepter, an almost sea anemone passiflora-like draping to it, and the actual whole construction of the main piece of it is like red blooming cactus flowers. So it's this, but everything around it, whenever it would point towards something, it helped direct the thought that creates natural reality. It helped focus it. It was like its own sort of natural focus. Okay. So that fungi could flourish and there would be spores growing in locations, and she just felt kind of at peace. She got to grow things that were edible and care for her family and care for her friends. But a lot of the things that grew looked very nasty and looked very unpleasant and decaying. So she's looked at as sort of this harbinger of death because she is often around that's decaying.
Well, and as upon this decay and change with everything, let us now draw your second card. What power has fallen into your hands? The High Priestess.
Again.
Interesting.
High Priestess. What power did it give me?
What power? What power did it give you? What strains to grow in your presence?
I'd like to imagine this sense of, there's an almost serene look when I look at the card. It's very balanced. And I think the letters of B and J, I think of balance and judgment. And there's such a contrasting element between the two color schemes that I think that it plays very well off the sense of what her life is that her very essence in this world is filled and brimming with life, but her own spirit and energy is something so infused with things related to death. I'd like to think that the visions that she's gained as part of this power are a sense of how her own body will fuel and become part of the earth and part of the world that she lives in, and will allow new things to grow, but it will require her life to be sacrificed in the process. But
all right,
I like to think that part of this is that part of it for her is that she's okay with this. She's where she's at in the moment, and she's coming to terms with having that be there.
All right.
But what she's
As you-
struggling to contain is the element where she doesn't control when that will happen. It's just like natural life brimming out of her. Like she doesn't know
Alright.
how much time she has.
But you have grown in power as it blossoms at your command. So, and with that, I do believe we now move to our final shard, our final archetype. Let me just shuffle the deck up again. And so, Ichi, hello.
Hello.
So, let us introduce what archetype you are playing.
I am playing the King of Cups, who is wise and caring and diplomatic.
All right. And
Not what I usually play in anything ever.
and what is your name? And pronouns?
Sasha. Sasha is uses they them pronouns.
All right. And so, shall we draw from this deck of cards and figure out what your origin,
All right.
your love?
Oh. I got the Empress for that.
The Empress. So, just to read again, the Empress, unparalleled abundance, fertility, nature in all its wild glory, mothering and nurturing the richness and purity of life and birth, but also smothering vain attempts to tame nature, unnecessary opulence or materialism. This, who or what did you love?
So this actually works really well with the general idea I had in mind to start with.
Mhm.
So when I was coming up with this character, a title that I just kind of had thought of was Guardian of Wishes.
Mm.
So Sasha's love is their charge. They are a guardian and they guard, like, from their world is a world that has people who have power over different domains, and her charge is the person who their charge is the person in charge of the magic of wishes, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And with that, let us draw your power.
Oh boy.
What did this tumultuous event, the messengers, give to you?
The Chariot.
The Chariot.
More sphinxes.
The Chariot.
Oh.
Little
Bringing
tiny
two-
sphinxes.
Two opposites into alignment: control and precision, victory and recognition, assertion of identity and self-made actualization, but also forcing the wrong way forward, valuing pride over humility, picking the wrong battle.
Hmm.
This is your power. How does it manifest? Can you protect everyone? And how do you wield it?
That's a really good question.
You are from this guardian, this domain of wishes.
Yeah.
The wishes of others, but what is your wish?
Hmm. So yeah, she's always guarded wishes, but the power of wishes has never been in her or in their control. I'm gendering my own character. Awesome. So I think the power that they were granted is not necessarily full control over being able to see their own wishes fulfilled, but just a little sliver of that. Being able to manifest something that will help them along the way, or something that they believe will help them along the way.
Okay. Wonderful. So, all right then. Good to know. So with that, we have all of our shards, all of the pieces in this multiverse now converging, coming together. As we now come here into this multiverse, wherever you once were, whatever you were doing in that moment, everything rocked, shake, tremored, a rumble, a wave, a pulse, a resonance that came, that perhaps, depending on where you were, a couple days, a couple hours, maybe a couple of weeks ago, there were individuals who came about, mentioned something was going to change. Maybe you paid heed to these words, maybe you didn't. But things have changed now. As you look outside, you look around and you find yourself now in a place which should have been familiar, but now no longer. It has it with elements, bits and pieces now stitched, woven together in ways that they shouldn't. It is a sight and a feeling, sounds, smells, sounds, smells, sights, all of these, all just a little bit, in some cases, a little bit different. In other cases, wildly, wildly changed. And it is in that moment whereupon each of you creatures came bearing messages to which most of you heeded, accepted, except one, which ended up being perhaps an appetizer.
Is not taking the message within the most intimate form of acceptance?
It's not
Truly
in fact
internalizing the message of the messenger.
denial.
No.
What is this but if not acceptance?
You're supposed to
It's like
internalize the message, not the messenger.
Oh, that is not how the phrase goes in my world. I'm sorry.
Not clever.
So, and then as this event takes place, as you walk outside, you find yourself literally perhaps outside of a grove, perhaps as you open, perhaps Emperor Quinn, as you simply open the door out, or not you open the door, but as the doors are opened out to you, you find where was once out of your dining hall, perhaps a hallway, is no longer actually a hallway, but a grove of fungi and mushrooms and all manner of various plant life. And even then, it's not completely there. As almost adjacent, placid to it, are other buildings, streets that to you should have no place, because this should be your, for all intents and purposes, your home, your abode, where you rule from, and now it is something different. And it is here in these moments where you have all come to where each of you lock eyes and you see there are individuals and something that could, perhaps to your eyes, is very much not humanoid, not human creatures. And things also sprawling all about. This, just to set up the first moments, how you all see each other, meet, deal with the grand change that has occurred. As we now move this from there, I would like to just check in and ask, would you like to have a bit of a moment to perhaps go through this moment of discovering each other? Or would you like to jump into the scenes, having known each other, perhaps maybe not on the best of, relationships and circumstances, but you are now together? Just checking in.
My preference is discovery. I'm not sure if that's everybody else's preference.
I don't have a preference.
Neither do I.
I don't either, because I think either one sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'm up for discovery, so I think that just so that we have a clear direction, this is a moment of discovery, I think, for all of us.
Yes. Let's just have this moment of discovery before we jump into the scenes of solving all of this. A short scene. Short moment. So, Emperor Quinn. This is the first, what I have described is the first sight that greets you after perhaps a stunning headache from a meal that maybe was ill-prepared. You're not quite sure.
Maybe a bit too much snake whiskey. Who knows?
Perhaps.
Emperor Quinn, she walks through, and she walks through these doors. She's dressed. She has short hair that is about like shin length bob that's like tied up, and she's wearing a long dress that goes up to her neck and up to her wrists. So the only like skin showing is her hands and her face. And it's a long, like sort of dark green dress, and she carries like behind her very elegantly this large glaive, and walks through the hallway and licks it. And I imagine her world is very much jungle and sort of very hot and temperate, and she's used to nature being around in her home, but fungus is not something that she expects. And then she looks, and her home I imagine is more of wood and bamboo, and then she looks at this concrete of these streets and the metal of some street lamp, and is confused and approaches cautiously and confused.
All right. As you slowly approach, additionally, Nady, as you take a look, what would you have been doing, perhaps after having received this message? A rock, a tremor, and you look and you see doors swing open and an individual walks out. The doors that were not there beforehand. And you look around and you see, again, those same streets, those buildings which were definitely not there beforehand.
I think her first reaction would be actually she would be fairly level-headed. she'd be like, huh, well, that's a change. And then just sort of walks forward. And if she sees the streets and is probably like curious about them and would probably look at all of it and think, huh, I wonder if anything could grow among all of the buildings and along the sides of it. I'm sure there's different things that could climb up. And if she is able to see Quinn, I think she would probably go up to her directly, and she would, as she's doing that, like be pulling from like a few bits on the ground, and there's like a little red and purple polka dotted cap of a mushroom that she would pull out, and she would turn it upside down so she could use the mushroom cap as sort of like a little cup, and then take another little sprig of something and just squeeze it so it has like berry juice in it, like almost like a berry juice consistency, and she would be like, hello.
You are very young for a witch. You seem very powerful for a young witch. And Emperor Quinn takes the mushroom cup and drinks of it, unperturbed, unworried.
I would be a little careful with drinking that all at once. It's quite strong. And I've never been referred to as a witch. Most people say much worse things to me. Witch is quite delightful. Not my preferred title as a fae, but it's quite nice.
Ah, you're bold as well to have conjured these things in my home.
Well, I don't think I did all of this. I can be
No.
quite strong, but I don't think I did all of this. And I think I have a feeling there'll be other things that are causing this beyond us. Though you, I will admit, appear very powerful and strong.
Only up here? Ooh, I must be getting old in age.
Oh, I do not think you would ever age. You seem far too grand and beautiful. Actually, I take that back. One ages wonderfully, and when one becomes older as well. So I don't actually think your beauty could ever fade in any way. Now that I think about it.
No, please
Lost in
continue.
thoughts.
I enjoy this. Continue.
Oh, I'm certain. I'm certain I could continue to compliment you, but I imagine that perhaps someone else is calling us. Perhaps something within these strange structures, and just is looking at all the buildings.
At all the buildings, indeed. As Van, perhaps you are working on something new when the messages came, when everything changed. Perhaps?
Yeah. I think I think more than just working on it, I was in the middle of a stunt, I think. And during like some somersault, I just sensed this something. It's almost like, to me it was like a blackout, like there was a blink, and then next thing I know, I'm not there. So
You're not there.
when I'm wherever I end up, like a cat, I do end up landing on my feet.
As you land your feet with a bit of a and a bit of a ring. As you look around in unfamiliar streets upon metal grates, as you look around and you see two individuals looking up at you from nearby, essentially almost like a fire escape railing that you're now standing upon, looking down at them.
Oh, and before we go further, Van is wearing a mask. It covers like basically the front of their face except for the mouth, so they can talk.
Mm-hmm.
But the mask is in the shape of an owl, and the colors are black and gold with gold trimming.
Mm-hmm. And as you land, you remember in that moment of darkness, a strange creature having come to you, and it seems so long, this divergent, something gifted upon you, put into you, becoming part of you, ordering, restructuring things within you. A message, a warning, perhaps, sort of maybe recalling the words of these individuals who had come before, and then just mere moments later, you find yourself hitting the landing on that railing.
Oh, this is... Never had that result from a trick before.
An assassin, welcome.
That I'd like to think of myself as a revolutionary, but that could work too.
Revolutionary assassin, same thing. Come,
okay.
If you would like to try, I welcome your best.
All right. And that is a lot of fungi.
Don't worry, I can get them to calm down a little bit if you'd like.
Oh no, it's fine. Am I? Oh God, I try not to step on it. Is this okay? Am I?
Don't worry, death is all around you. You will not add to more of it by doing that.
Sure.
What a considerate assassin you are. This is interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I aim to please. I'm Van. I feel like I just literally tumbled into something. Can I assume this happened to you both as well?
Oh no, I do not tumble.
My apologies.
You're forgiven.
Oh. Van is just very, I don't know if they're joking or not, but okay.
Yeah, these individuals are wearing outfits that perhaps are not common, definitely not common every day for where you are from.
Yeah. Like, okay, all right.
Like, yes. And as you have this conversation, Sasha, what were you doing in the moment of change?
I feel like I would be probably taking a walk, leading my charge somewhere, probably to practice some skills of some sort. Probably in a forest. That sounds about right.
So, as you take your walk, your charge, as you're walking, just mid-stride, everything just wobbles and shifts for a bit. You regain your footing. That's a giant mushroom when that was a big tree.
Sansa just kind of takes a very deep breath. And she turns around, or they turn around, and are like, Elena, what have we talked about? And then they realize Elena's not there.
As you turn around, and you see a smaller mushroom. Like a series of smaller mushrooms. Like a grove of mushrooms.
Oh, okay.
Oh, not like an Elena-sized mushroom.
Oh, I thought...
No.
I've consumed you all. Consume you all.
Maybe that might have been your first thought as you see, it's a smaller mushroom, but it's still a sizable mushroom. And then you just sort of you might have that moment, that first reaction, and then you look at, oh wait, this is just a grove of varying size mushrooms.
Dear.
And it is in that step, as you recall, again, there is something that just thrums within you. As you hear a voice, and then just out of the corner, and you feel that moment, once again, that blackness stretched out. A creature, messages, power, you're not quite, it came all so fast. Maybe you're still trying to process it. Maybe you're just I'll deal with it later. But you mostly, as you turn around, it's this weird, you were having a thought, and then you realize Wait a minute. I was also having another thought in the middle of that thought. And that's when you...
Oh dear. That's certainly not the way this usually goes.
As you then hear, I believe it was a, you hear a voice call out, "Ah, an assassin!" I believe it was an accommodating assassin, or
What's it accommodating?
He said
No, not
considerate.
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 a
Considerate.
considerate assassin.
So Sasha is going to take the staff that she's been walking with and kind of grip it tighter and just kind of walk towards the voices.
So, and as you walk there, you find an odd gathering of individuals in clothing that you have not really seen styles of before. One of them is masked up high on some sort of building covered with metal fences and grates, looking down at one well-dressed individual and one individual who looks like they look like a flower. Well, they look dressed as a flower. And as the three of you have this conversation about assassin, revolutionary, technicalities, all of that, you do hear footsteps as this individual, gripping a staff tightly, does approach as well.
Oh, another one joins the fray.
I'm sorry, if you have come to challenge, I believe the young witch was first, and then it's the assassin. But I do have time for you in my schedule today, if you'd like.
We're challenging you two.
Oh, to for the throne? No, is this not why you have invaded my home?
I've no power to take a throne.
Oh, good news for me then, I suppose.
Oh, okay. Well, Van doesn't know what to say. They're just so
okay. So Van, Nady?
Nady just walks over, offers another of the mushroom cap juices, and says, "Hello, dear. I think we've all been brought in from a lot of odd places, and we might need to get going soon. I think we've been called to do something."
That does seem like the way of things. And they're gonna take a quick sniff and sip of the mushroom.
Wait.
Juice.
If that's how it is, do you remember anything before you land? Well, I landed here, but what happened before? What was it like for you all?
I heard a message from something, and I think we're being called for a purpose, to make this right, to bring things back into balance. I have a feeling.
All right. So, with that, as you say that, from not too far away, landing almost in a tumble, not a person, almost like a bird, tumbles down and falls amidst all of you. You rise. As you rise and you take a moment. You try and figure out the deluge of information, of being now yourself, now amongst individuals. right now, I believe we find ourselves taking a break as we now wrap up for a break.
Yes.
We're a little over time, so I was trying to
A little
scooch
time, so yeah.
everyone to make it easier for us to go to break.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No worries, no worries.
That's a perfectly fine introduction
Yes.
for me. I'm
Yes.
okay with that.
And so with that, we shall go to break as we have now come to properly introduce and find everybody. And yes, and regarding break, we'd like to give a quick shout out to our amazing patrons, especially those in the host with the most tier, for making this channel possible. And 1 second. One moment. Sorry. And additionally, one moment. All right. All right. Let's head to race. Bye.
Everybody, we'll see you soon.
Sorry. See you
Be
soon.
right back.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. If you get a second during break, you should check out one of our amazing sponsors. We're now proudly sponsored by Roll20, the best virtual tabletop for all your role-playing needs. Over 4 million people use Roll20's virtual tabletop to power their favorite games. And with more modules than you can shake a stick at on their new revamped storefront, you'll definitely find something for your group to enjoy. Sign up today by clicking the link below or heading to roll20.net/start/WTTP. Tabletop Loot is an amazing place to get your dice bags, dice boxes, and more. And now you can get 15% off your purchase at tabletoploot.com by using the code WTTPDICE at checkout. Tabletop Loot. Your party starts here. While you're at it, check out our so awesome merch store, So Nerdware. So Nerdware is the place to find all your Welcome to the Party merch and other amazing stuff too. Head on over to sonerdware.com and use the code WELCOME at checkout to get 10% off your next purchase. So Nerdware. It's what the nerds wear. Devin Rue, the amazing mistress of maps, has kindly supported the channel since the beginning and provides graphics for many of our streams. Head on over to rueinc.com to check out some of the best fantasy cartography on the web. Our Patreon supports the creators and producers of the channel by providing Roll20 subscriptions, cost coverage for video hosting, and more. If you want to support the channel while getting podcasts a week early, gaming articles that are published on Patreon first, a shout out during our break, and more, head on over to patreon.com/welcomepartyrpg and throw us a buck or $5. And last, but certainly not least, help out the party. Subs and bits not only support the stream, but also every 500 bits or a tier 1 sub gives a player or DM of your choice a reroll or system equivalent, and every 1000 bits or tier 2 sub gives a player or DM of your choice a crit or system equivalent. Thanks again for hanging out with us today. The game will be back in just a few minutes.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby. to get ourselves a treat.
Hey, welcome to the Party Time. It's your favorite producer, Leona here. Thank you to our VIP Circle, Jack C, Donald G, Nerdy T, and Michelle E for being our amazing Patreon sponsors. Our team will be back very shortly. Talk to y'all soon.
Hello and welcome back from our break. Welcome back to the Dying World, where last before the break, we introduced drew cards, introduced who everyone was, drew cards to figure out exactly what is happening, who we all are, and now we get into the first scene of this game, as this game operates in 3 scenes and then a finale. So let's begin with what do the cards say happens in this first scene?
Fuck that.
Oh. Temperance. So, as we establish ourselves a little later than when we first introduced, everyone sort of coming together, coming to know exactly where everyone is coming from. Most misunderstandings about assassinations and all of that have come to a little bit. Most of this, I said most, not all. Most of the misunderstanding about assassinations have come a little bit to a quieter simmer as everyone comes to an understanding of the gravity of this situation, as they find themselves essentially trying to figure out where and how to move forward. Here, as we draw this card, the scene, here, as you attempt to find, as you are traveling together between these disparate worlds, these places, you had found and heard words of perhaps some of the messages from before that some of you may have listened to, may be dismissed, may be seen as an affront to your rule. You're not quite sure. Heard some of them were writing out, traversing, trying, in a sense, almost to pull people together, as you walk into almost like, at first it's a massive crowd coming towards what almost looks almost like an amphitheater, except it is made, except you see these walls of greenish, purplish crystal, and almost looks what appears to be these blades of grass creaking out of them, and all around them are just these people almost looking, like just listening into it as you all approach this. As you all approach, all of them just almost waiting, heeding whatever is happening in the center of the amphitheater. They all listening, words that you can't exactly make out. So, I would like to ask you, as you enter this scene, this all tranquility, the sun shining, reflecting off of these crystals, these almost craggly, mountainous like forms flanking them. I'd like all of you to, this is now also a time for all of you to maybe add a detailed description, maybe something from your own world that has now popped in with all of this oddness. And additionally, feel free when you add your this detail, that, or perhaps an individual you might have known feel free to drag one of the tokens out and put it on top of the card.
Admittedly, I'm not sure how to really move on from there.
Is this auditorium? Is it a space that any of us recognize from our own worlds, or is it sort of new to all of us?
Or maybe it's an amalgamation of everything into one.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks more like an amalgamation.
Okay.
Like there are a bit hints like, for you, Emperor Quinn, perhaps it is in the style of one of your buildings from your world. But the material is this odd crystalline structure with the grass growing out of it.
Yeah, I think there's sections where there's like scaffolding of bamboo, which built around this crystalline structure, where otherwise it would be like sort of sets of seating auditorium seating built of similarly of like planks of wood or bamboo. But now it's these the scaffolding connects to that, and it's like I think the bamboo sort of goes inside in some places, like it starts to meld where the worlds are like sort of combining, and and Quinn is pretty interested in that, and like the sort of how these worlds are colliding, and trying to determine if it's conflict or if it's kind of becoming something new.
Okay, I'll just put a token down.
Yep.
To represent that. Anyone else? Van? Oh. Or if not, thought.
I think I want to add that I think certain fixtures are probably very familiar to Van. When I first made this, like, I didn't mention this, but they come from like a very steampunky kind of world. So there's like airships and a lot of brass and insert metal here. So yeah, I think a lot of the fixtures, especially the light fixtures, and maybe there's like chairs around, it's like based on like that brassy copper type of material that Van is very used to in the stylization. But also it's very warped because I think there's some sections of maybe like a wall or a ceiling where they can see like maybe their like one of their like protest like posters or like graffiti marks that they've done around the city. So they're very disturbed by that because these crystals, the bamboo, definitely not something Van has seen before. So to see their art and then like the like aesthetic is just, they're just kind of staring like while looking around.
All right. And Katie, or as we have come by this moment to know this winged, almost bird-like creature entity, as we have come to know them as, I believe their name is, or at least how they, yes, as they are referred to as Bane. Anything you'd like to add?
For the most part, Bane doesn't understand the concept of a name, so it just accepts that and made the connection that when it hears this sound or this string of sounds together, these things want its attention. So it's like a puppy, it's learning.
Oh, right.
But at the same time, it has a sense of just, it's just okay with everything because whatever.
All right.
Nothing's really confusing it. It's just looking around. It's okay.
But also, as anything you'd like to add to this scene?
It's mostly just bits and pieces of areas that just don't exist anymore. There's a vague purple smoke emanating from these holes and tears. There's not a ton of them, but they're there. And sometimes you're not quite sure you see it, but it's definitely there.
All right, then. So that's... would you like to put a token on top of the card?
What does that do again?
It's just to mark that you have put a... that you have added a detail.
Okay, yeah. There we go.
Yeah. For now.
Oh, was I supposed? Is there?
I think I put a token for
there's
you. So
three
there's
right
three.
now.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
for the 3 details, so it's fine. Yep. All right. Next, Nady, Angela.
I think, sort of going along with the oddness of everything, there's bits of fungi that look more like lichen. That's I know lichen is distinct from like a fungi, but it can be different families and such. But it looks its appearance is very lichenous and how it's cropped over and almost made like a spider web kind of crustiness over different sections of like the steampunk kind of fixtures and such. But there's especially odd ones that have like a mirror image effect that are all circled around these sort of like purple smoke-like sections. So it's helping contribute to the overall feeling that's like, is that there? Like, you don't know whether it's just this is a very weird fungus and a hole in reality, or it's just I'm not seeing things right. I like to think that's an additional element in the scene that's just making it even more like if someone were to come into the scenario and talk to someone else, they'd be like, is that a fungus with smoke?
You're just not going to talk about the giant mushroom over there.
Yeah, we're
fire.
And the buddy is just like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. This is
Instead
fine.
of fire, it's just mushrooms in the background.
Fine.
Okay. All right.
I think that means a token.
Yeah.
That's totally a token.
That's totally a token. Would you like to add the token, or shall I just drag it over? Ah, there it is.
Oh.
Aha. And
Cool.
now Sasha.
Yes.
So for Sasha, I think what I want to add is like somewhere on the stage.
I have no idea why everyone is laughing, but it's already very funny.
Wait.
For reference, our lovely viewers, someone who will remain unnamed in our chat, our private chat, indicated the smoking mushroom is a token.
Oh no!
You're welcome.
Fantastic. That needs to be clipped.
I'm sure it will be. If Ulfred's in chat, it's going to be clipped.
Okay.
Fantastic.
All right. So for Sasha, like in like the middle of all of this, in like a cleared area, there's a little. It looks like an old time kind of well that you would like roll the bucket down and then bring the bucket back up. But it's made out of paper mache and craft foam.
Okay.
Sure.
But anyone who is sensitive to like any kind of weird energies and vibes would feel like some kind of power coming off of it. But it's a paper mache and craft foam well.
Okay. So as you all approach, the people in the back, some of them take a heed and notice of your arrival. Like they look, one of them they look at you with these. It's almost slightly out of focus eyes, not quite looking at you, but looking at you. Like, more. Please, you must wait in line. We're all queuing up to draw.
Where does the queue lead?
Into the stage, into the amphitheater.
Yeah, Quinn goes that way.
there is a crowd of people.
Yeah, no. Emperors don't wait. Emperors don't queue.
So you just
Starts
start
gently placing her
queue.
glaive between people and gently pushing them out of her way, and walks forward.
Just let me get on by. Let me scooch on by you right there.
Bane just trundles on like, we're going this way, and if you're in the way, you gotta move or it'll get stepped on. Just all right.
All right. As you just slowly, just gently begin to push people aside, you move it's almost, when you have a stack of dominoes, and you knock one over, and the whole row falls over.
Oh no!
Oh,
You know
boy.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like all
as you
of her
begin,
enemies falling before her. Yes.
yeah, a little bit. There's almost. This is like, excuse me, not excuse me for the emperor, but as you just gently move this side, you just watch as one of them just tilts to the side, knocks the shoulder of the individual next to them, and they just all just lean. They're all still standing upright, but they're all just leaning, and they
got that Michael Jackson thing going on.
Yeah, just leaning and but it's like the domino effect of one boom, 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 boom. So it's just this lean out.
Oh no! Ooh.
Oh, how hard did you move them?
It's a special kind of hard. Only queens can do it.
It's a queen kind of hard.
Exactly.
Do you keep as this happens? Do you keep pressing onwards?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I keep looking back, trying to see how far the domino effect goes, but I still keep walking.
Yes, you just sort of look out. You see the horizon, and you see it still going.
Oh my god. Bane is completely unfazed because, this is normal. Everything that's happening is exactly what's supposed to happen. And they're just like,
Bane doesn't know what dominoes are.
No. They're just like, oh, okay.
Huh.
Bane just started existing. They don't understand what repercussions are.
Yeah.
This is fun.
So you just keep moving. I will say, as you notice, as you keep moving, as you get closer and closer, the lean gets more and more and more severe. You're not actually quite sure just how they're doing this, straight, the whole body is just turning like that.
Definitely Michael Jackson.
I was gonna say
further.
Cat.
You're gonna look at their what?
So I was just gonna look at their ankles and see if they're broken.
As you look down, you notice that some of them don't have ankles.
That's certainly not normal.
Some of them just have these calves that go straight into the ground.
No feet?
That's way weirder than what I imagined.
Oh,
are their bodies just coming out of the ground?
Yes, like mushrooms or plants.
Oh.
It's a good thing we didn't line up because this line was never gonna move. Welcome.
Oh.
Hey, are you in line to get a Switch? Yeah, so am I. Hey, yeah, we're gonna get one soon, right? It's like, yeah.
As you approach this massive structure, as you enter it, you just start to hear not quick, but a quiet woo, woo, what? It just slowly grows and grows as you all enter. And as you enter upon this structure in the center of the stage, you see, looking very different to all of the the crystals, to the fungi, all of these things, which the scaffolding, the bamboo, all of these are, while they are odd, and the smoke that is pouring out, they can be, attributed to something. I can see how that's sort of keeping together, because they're materials that you would make a proper structure out of. At the center of this crystal and brass stage, you see a sizable. At first, it looks like a well, but it is made out of paper mache. It looks like newspaper clippings have been pasted, was part of it, pasted all around it. And at the well is currently drawing from it a bucket of what can only, for those familiar, like the smell, the consistency of craft glue, just pulling it out of the well.
I've known that since elementary school, man.
Oh Lord!
Is an individual in these blue and yellow robes, a set of bandoliers and tools all around us. They're just pulling it up. As you approach, they pull all this one bucket up. It's just now up and hanging, resting on the edge of the well, and you can clearly smell it all and see it. Just turns and smiles at all of you.
Oh.
Welcome. Do you have pieces that need to be fixed?
You clearly do.
Debane just kind of looks around at everybody else's reaction, wondering what it should do, because it's just like... Huh?
Dan with the owl mask just cocks their head.
The full owl tilt.
Yep.
Debane copies.
Okay,
missing...
yeah, we're both like tilting our heads together.
They look at the both of you.
Yes.
And they go, a bird missing wings pulls from their tool belt, pulls out what looks to be a large brush and dips it into the craft glue. Let us fix these things.
This is just this.
I could not recommend that you let this man touch you.
Yeah,
I
agree, Quinn.
As they take a step forward,
and
it's
back.
not quite a step. It's almost like they step forward, and instead of the distance being just one step, it's as if they've taken 15 or 20.
Oh my god, it's like a tonberry.
What is this? I don't know what this reference is.
After image effect.
Yeah, of a tonberry.
Yeah. You went to something much worse and scarier. It's a tonberry from Final Fantasy. The little dudes with the knives that just walk towards you. And
I love those. They're cute.
As it just approaches.
The Bane sees everybody recoiling away, and at first just kind of looks and is just like, this is obviously not great. And
we will fix this.
It rears its feathers back to protect everybody else.
Yeah, Quinn doesn't back away either. She advances and closes the distance with her glaive.
Okay, now you're in front of me. You can go right on ahead.
Okay.
Okay. I was imagining us sort of side by side, but sure. I can.
Yeah, okay, so you took that step. Go on.
Yeah, sure. No, I'll close the distance towards Gloomin.
Gloomin.
Wonderful.
As they look at you, there's still this serene smile. We will fix this.
No.
We will put the pieces where they belong. Still just dipping the brush in the glue.
What?
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Is it drying out in any way?
No.
I feel like with it being it's constantly fresh glue.
Yes.
Oh god, that's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I agree.
I just googled Tomberry. These things are too cute. What are you talking about?
No,
they're amazing. Anyway,
so, I want to ask, what is everyone doing as it rapidly approaches? Anything else?
I stab it.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna talk to it.
That's a tonberry right there.
It approached too fast and too weird.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a legit reaction.
Okay, well, this is we get right into the system as you now initiating meeting this challenge, this obstacle in front of you. There's whoops, one more token. That. Well, as I've presenting this challenge, you now wager either your origin or your power. And I will say, like, your origin or your power, you are using your glaive, which is I believe your origin, part of your origin.
It's weapon.
Yeah.
Your weapon to stab it. So, as you are wagering that, if you would like to.
Oh, if I use it, I wager it.
I mean, this is like
okay.
Because we're now getting into the more structured part of it, where it's now some sort of conflict, some sort of obstacle, and as figuring out how do you move through it or past it, and
stab through it in this case.
Yes, step through it, and by doing so, you wager your origin or your power, as like saying, I will be using one of these two things to advance. And so by stabbing it, and I don't want to put it too much, but so if you agree that your origin is using the source of your power, and not source, but one of your power, who you are, to just stab, not quite cut it down, because pin it in place.
Yeah,
hit it in place.
Perhaps. Well. What kind of, I believe, you also have, what kind of action would this one action be part of your one of your what's the word I'm looking for? Traits?
Let me see.
Because if it is, you may draw an additional card.
Traits are like the top
three
three,
words.
like the highlights,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Insightful, truth-feeling, merciless. This seems pretty merciless, no?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Right. So, feel free to draw 2 cards from the Minor Arcana deck.
Sweet. Three of Wands.
Okay.
7 of Wands. Wands all around.
All right. So, the first card, there are results based on what you draw. Now, the first card was the 3. I'll just read out what a 2, 3, 4, or 5 gets you. This is the first card. Expect the worst to happen. So, as you
very vague.
lunge forward with your glaive, it punctures into this individual. They jerk back from the impact, as you just find it's so effortless. You just keep running through your glaive right through them until it's almost halfway through the hilt, through your handle. And they just still are smiling through it.
Don't like this.
As you attempt to pull the glaive back, there's a almost sickening sound as you pull back your glaive, or really just the handle.
Well, they sure fixed that.
What you have wagered is now shattered.
Oh, well.
This glaive, this source, this instrument, this symbol of your authority, in but a simple moment in this odd world, is
God damn it,
now
Elber.
is now broken. However, with the 7, there is, you do succeed, but with an additional complication. Well, you can succeed or deal with it, succeed with an additional, with another cost, or deal with a significant complication. So, as you were attempt.
So drawing 2 cards, I don't get to choose between the 2 or use the higher of the 2. It's both of them.
I think it works as both of them. I could also be wrong.
Okay.
Or you think, or perhaps it makes sense to make a choice.
I think it makes sense that like it's the way the game seems to be designed. It's encouraging you to try and play up those traits for your book in order to let you have more options for what your results could be. I think that's so it's still a negative in some ways.
Perhaps. Yeah. So let's sort of pull this back. Would you like the 3 or the 7?
7, please.
All right. So as you,
the one where I don't have to imagine the worst thing that could possibly happen, please. Yeah.
So as you begin to pierce through, approach, there's just a whisper, and your eye, in this momentary blink, you see this your symbol of power be turned goopy, a dreaded mess. Your vision blinks from as you approach. You remember as it stops in place, no longer moving. This individual still serenely smiling, but now locked in place, but now unmoving, bleeding out, almost about to buckle and fall, but also but then there is that consequence. Do you I believe it. So this is now a decision. You can keep going and stop it, or do you want to deal with an additional complication? Stop it. Looks to be stopping it in a more permanent sense, or perhaps stopping it just now, but dealing with what might happen later.
Merciless. Gotta stop it now. Yeah, merciless.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you come down closer, this time a little with the knowledge of that whisper, that momentary vision, as you push into it, you rend upwards, almost bisecting this thing, and there's a look of smile and then a surprise just contorts on its face as it just drops to its knees, and just like you do note that part of your glaive does seem to be ruined, almost this turned sloppy. It is now cracked and not shattered.
Okay.
Just cracked.
Gotcha.
But it does this thing. This individual now stops in place. Has now stopped and collapsed. Now falling down, just looking at you, almost with eyes that almost say "Why?" As they collapse down. The bucket falling down, rolling aside, just splaying this glue all around.
Emperor Quinn, she like sort of swings the glaive out to get whatever this goop is off of it, like very dramatic anime swing this blood off the sword kind of motion, and kind of just looks down at this being that had approached so quickly and hostilely in her opinion, and just looks at it like not with pity or apathy. It's just like, yeah, this is what happens when you act that way. No, don't act a fool. You don't get stabbed.
All right. Everyone else's reactions?
The Bane comes over and like puts its foot on it and just starts moving it around because it doesn't have hands; they're wings. So it's just like, what? Fix it up. And
Pick it up.
yeah, just you got one foot. Just what? And then just puts it back down and then busies itself with the bucket because the bucket is fun, although it's very sticky. And now it's got its wings and everything all gooped up, and it's very unhappy. So it's having a crisis right off to the side as everybody else. That's where I'm going to stop that.
Okay. So, anybody else have anything in particular you'd like to mention, say, do in a moment?
I feel like Sasha seeing the Bane being in so much distress would kind of go over and just like start trying to clean its wings off.
Okay.
Now you're going to get covered in glue.
Oh, that's fine. I can bathe.
Okay. Then Nady.
I think Nady is going over to Van and making sure that nothing's happened to them as a result of them getting close, because it just astral stepped forward in a way that was very unnerving.
Yeah.
But it's just like, are you okay?
Yeah. That was, I mean, I'd like to think I moved fast, but that was fast. I don't know what would have happened if Quinn didn't step in. So are you okay? I don't really, you seem pretty calm.
Well, I'm calm most of the time. I'm assuming that the end will come for me at some point.
As the clapping and the cheering has come to an end. And then just this low wailing. This long, low wailing of, but our pieces, our pieces, our pieces.
Is there anything along the stage that looks visibly cracked or looking like it's not fully together?
The stage itself is this almost like crystal mixture of crystal and brass, and it's just almost like crushed together, and there are cracks that do run all alongside the entire stage up, and as you follow it to each individual in the stands.
Well, maybe there's another way to fill the cracks. If you're willing to be uncomfortable.
They just keep wailing.
I don't like this.
Would you like to try something?
Yes.
All right then. What would you like to wager?
I would like to wager the power. So
Okay.
the high priestess one. And
All right.
I imagine my thought was seeing everyone like hearing more than anything the wailing and the sounds that I like to think she remembers being back in the groves of her home, and just getting used to the sounds that it sounds weird to describe it, but the sounds of plant life and fungi all around, like just the little bits of creatures that like when you think of like a dead piece of log, it's like, well, there's nothing on it, but if you peel back the bark, you see thousands of critters and little things moving all around it.
Okay.
I think she's heard that distress, and so she's tapping into the vision of the power within her, overflowing and trying to imagine a moment in which that power can overtake her for a bit and let bits of the fungi like sort of trace up all of the little cracks that she can see from people as far as her eye can go, and just like stitch together like bits of like sewing together with bits of lichen and fungi all the cracks.
Okay, so would this act be part of your one of your traits?
Grounded, trusting, and or earnest. I don't. I don't think it would fit any of those.
Well, let's see what the cards have to say. Draw from the Minor Arcana, please.
No, it does not work.
All right. Oh, okay. 3. So as you draw and pull more, just stitching together, you've worked with, fungi, working it in this manner with so many pieces, so many things to try and focus and concentrate on all at once. It begins to burn more and more, and you start to feel more and more exhausted, and this wellspring of power within you just begins to just shrivel up so fast. And you just try and close your eyes and focus. Everybody else you see, it's starting like these vines, these lichen, beginning to stitch everything up, and everything together, and everyone together. As all the people, there's this almost wrenching sound as all these bodies are being pulled together into one massive stitched together ball. And as you just keep trying to focus and keep control of this power that has just started to just surge wildly before it just, there's something in you that just cracks, creaks, and shatters. You let loose a breath as you look out as you all see nobody is in the stands anymore. But there is just now a large ball of lichen and bodies. And they are all wailing. Nady, your power is now shattered as it has turned wild and loose.
Boy.
Oops.
There's the pieces, us, ourselves, the pieces. This constant keening and wailing, and it just resonates and vibrates throughout the entirety of.
The noise is very unpleasant for the pain. I'm sorry, keep going.
As Nady, as that wave of exhaustion hits you.
Oh.
Is there anything the Bane would like to do? Or try?
Oh yeah. So it's very much very sticky. I'm assuming the glue that is on it is probably still wet as if it was in a bucket, or does it dry when it empties the bucket? I never asked that earlier.
Yes. It is slowly drying on your feathers. Still wet, but it is slowly drying.
Okay. Well, that ball forming, unsurprisingly didn't really phase it because it doesn't really have a concept of being afraid. But in that moment, with all the noise and the constant crying and everything, it learns the concept of annoyance and frustration, because it's slowly being dried together, and it's got to listen to this noise, and there's all this chaos. So it just kicks the bucket straight at this amalgamation of nonsense. But also just kind of falls over at the bottom of it, because I'm assuming it's pretty close by. And this bucket goes flying, and the glue goes everywhere, and now it's just kind of stuck right next to it on the ground, and now it's trying to get up, trying to get away, and has no idea what's going on, but it doesn't like it.
All right then.
Do I have to pull a card thingy?
Well, what are you wagering? As you attempt to.
So the ones are weird, haunting, and transformative. So I'll go with transformative because that sounds interesting.
All right. I mean, like, yeah. So, I mean, what does this action for the Bane be transformative or?
It's not necessarily transformative for the. Well, okay, it is transformative for the Bane in that it is trying to bring everything back to, not really balance, but a level of neutral, because it has no idea what's going on. Everything got very crazy very quickly. What is this sticky stuff? Why am I stuck here? What is this awful noise? It's turning into a rage. So it's transforming, I guess, its concept of the things around it.
Okay.
And it's slowly being consumed by this rage, and it's trying to not let that happen.
Okay, and you then kick the bucket towards it in hopes that the bucket will
do something.
Yeah. Okay.
This seems like the right thing to do.
Sure. Feel free to draw.
Oh, what's gonna happen? Okay, it's a 5 of tentacles.
Pentacles. And a 5.
Tentacles. Yeah, I can't read that.
Tentacles.
That font is very difficult to see.
Oh.
Tentacles is much more appropriate for the void, to be fair.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yes. As you lash out, toss this bucket of this glue, this craft glue, as it soars and splatters all around, not just this wad, but also parts of it still, like, it's in a bucket. It's like in a bucket. It sort of gets on you a little bit. As it sticks and it hardens, it coalesces. As you try and bring some sort of change with it, it's just, you feel yourself you feel yourself beginning to almost freeze up a little bit as the glue just hardens where it has touched around you, and there's just this almost in you as bits of you just begin to become one, like the two feathers, for example, 2 feathers that are on you become 1 feather. Things like that all over you, and there's just this racking sensation all over you.
Don't like this. Starts freaking out even more.
As what you have wagered is now shattered, as that moment of who you are is just this, everything, like, you're still nascent in who you are, and yet it is now trying to become one thing. Anything else that isn't stuck just begins to be shaved off.
It's just consumed with hatred.
Yes. As this ball begins to just almost coalesce into itself more and more, the wailing and the keening doesn't quite pan out too well.
Yeah, that was not a good idea, but that's okay.
It just continues. The wailing has now turned into a bit more of a loud, screeching scream.
Oh no. Whoopsie.
And anyone else?
I would like to try something, even though that seems to be going fabulous right
Yeah,
now.
Oh yeah.
Go for it.
All
Go
of
for
our
it.
ideas are great so far.
Oh yeah. This
Yeah.
is exactly what we wanted.
So, Sasha, upon seeing the Bane doing all of that, and obviously enraged and in pain, and this shrieking ball of voices, and oh god, they're
Ball of
very shaken by all of this. So they kind of do the only thing they know how to do, even though it's never worked for them before. And
Okay.
they just kind of kneel on the ground and put their hands like over where a crack once was, and just kind of whisper, please. Please go back.
All right. So what are you wagering?
So I will be wagering that power.
Okay. Just for good measure, I'm just gonna shuffle this up again.
Just in case.
Our
Just a
luck has
bit.
been so
Oh.
shit for these past
second.
couple draws.
We're
And they-
saving the world, y'all.
I do feel like this is a caring action.
Saving whose world?
Oh, I will agree with that.
Okay, so I get to draw 2 cards.
Please draw
Yes.
an ace just to balance us out. Please, just
Please,
something really
please.
good right now.
It's an 8.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
And a page.
Wait,
Ace is good.
Yes.
Yeah, page is good.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a court card.
It's a sweet card.
It's a core card. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get to narrate what happens next.
So, as they kneel down and kind of put their hands over this crack and just start pleading with whatever is around for all of this to be undone, and for everything, for all of the poor broken people to be not broken anymore, and all of that, like this very gentle light comes out of their hands, and it just kind of soothes through that crack and wraps around both the ball and Bane, and just acts as kind of a soothing and gentle, like, reversal of everything that's led to this point.
All right. As you watch as lichen vines just all peel away, peel off, and everyone is just almost gently deposited all around, as they then begin to stand up and look, the crystalline cracks that were on the ground and that were running up through them, as they just begin to just sort of look, and they just like, and they look at wonder and amazement at themselves. And then they all try, like, look, and they go, and like almost as one, they all go and say, voice, who?
Sasha just kind of looks up and goes, huh?
And huh? There's like, all their heads turn and face you.
Hello.
And this, and they just go, our pieces. Our pieces.
Pieces.
Yeah.
Yes. As they all walk towards you, not in a threatening way, but in this, like, we are, like, almost, we're here with you. We're here to follow you.
I have an army.
I was gonna say you have a cult, but that also works.
Yeah, I was.
Oh goodness, that's one way to turn it around. For
So,
sure.
yeah. So, as you so now with drawing the with that, you now take a you can take the token, one of the tokens on the card, and the way it works is that you can now later spend the token to redraw to do one of these.
Oh, nice.
So, all right. So, and as they all walk towards you, they all look and they go, our pieces. Our pieces. They hand outstretched to you. Their face falls a little bit, looking at the structure, the buildings, almost pointing at the individuals outside waiting. And in this somber, solemn tone, their pieces. Their pieces.
I don't know that I can fix them too.
They look at the rest of you, at everyone.
Bram?
Van? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say we were getting low on times, but carry on.
Yes.
Just quick check-in about it.
So, I believe like, yes. So, sorry. So, I believe, yes. Let's just try. Let's try and get through at least maybe just one more. Let's see how this goes. If anybody wants to do anything, if not, we can wrap this up for now.
Kind
Here.
of glued to the floor, so
If you-
for it.
There's also, if somebody would like to help Bane.
The last time one of us tried to wrap things up, we had like a giant ball of a coal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the thought I was gonna say is if we wanted to like make the end of this be like the end of the scene, so that we could cut that off. I was gonna say maybe Nady makes a suggestion that because Sasha and everyone was hearing them say like pointing somewhere else to another like group of people, right, and or like another direction in pieces. Nady would just I think walk over to Van, just sort of exhausted, be like, maybe they'd like a performance.
Those weird domino.
Well,
about that part.
well, I just made a ball of I just made a giant mushroom out of people, so I don't think it can get any weirder.
I helped. It's sticky.
Do you think that would calm them down a bit, or?
It's worth a shot.
I mean, did you have any better ideas? Because I sure didn't. Huh.
All right.
I guess we didn't talk about that. That's a good point. Oh, goodness. I don't know what next.
So, will Van, just to confirm, will you be performing some sort of performance?
Not right now, no.
No. All right. So, I just want to, just sort of like, where is everyone sort of at the moment? In character.
I'm still near the like epicenter of everything. Okay. So I'm not necessarily glued to the ground, but I'm just kind of there, trying to understand what. And yeah, that's kind of the extent of where my character is right now. They're just there on the stage.
All right. Okay, so that's where Bane is. Quinn?
Can you get back to me at the end?
Cool.
Okay.
Nady?
I think she's just like she's just very tired and just worn out from the whole the druid eldritch abomination she had created by accident.
That's fair.
Problem.
Entirely fair.
But yeah,
Right.
she just like mentions the thing to Van and then just walks over to Sasha and is just like head against shoulder. It's like, I'm very sleepy.
Okay. Sasha?
Well, Sasha kind of puts an arm around Nady because Nady seems like she needs it.
Mm-hmm.
And is just kind of standing there amidst these people talking about pieces and just kind of trying to pet and soothe them.
Okay. All right then. Let's do that. Let's go to Van.
Well, before, Nady walked off, but they were. Now I guess they're just on their own after Nady walked off. So, but they were kind of contemplating about like the performance, but I think for them it's more like they don't know. They've never really actually, like, ironically enough, never used their performance as a way to perform. It was always a way of like
Right.
like playing a message, but these people are just so strange, and the fact that they're talking about these pieces and not standing up for themselves, that's really like confusing for them. And so they're kind of in between thinking of how to help them versus like seeing Bane on the floor and like
All right.
I want to help them, but how do you get that bluey stuff out there? How do
Right. So as we come now last to Quinn.
Quinn, seeing that Van is sort of like also in a similar mindset, like kind of weirded out by this whole situation, goes over to Van and it's like sort of just stands near them, like not necessarily consoling them, but like letting them know they're around. But then like there's some dramatic close-up on Quinn's face as she squints like very jealously towards Sasha, like staring at Sasha's back, jealous of this new this growing authority, this threat.
Of course.
Yeah.
And there's a whisper. Patience. And with that, as you all stand amidst this crystalline structure with a mass of individuals, of people who were once cracked, perhaps missing pieces, turned into a giant, brought together in the most literal sense before coming apart, being almost put back together, coming forward to Sasha. And as they move and point out to the structure, to the others, inquiring about their pieces, as you all take this moment, a little bit of a breather, I believe we shall be coming with, especially with time and all that, coming with this little session to a close. And with that, so.
Damn, I really want to know what happens to these glue people.
Yeah, well.
I think we'll just need a part 2. It's fine.
I believe we're going to need a part 2 with this.
Yeah,
so
I think we are.
Yeah,
they
figure out what happens. To figure out
we take the blue people, we find the paper people, we make a new well.
Everyone is happy.
So first, I'd like to thank everyone who followed, who posted, who is basically everybody in chat. I'd like to thank everybody. I'd like to remind everybody about Discord, Patreon, the Patreon, and merch. And coming up next, right? Yes. Well, we are. Sorry, I just looked out the window like, oh yes, it's a great morning, isn't it? Time zones.
Sun is shining.
Sun is shining.
And children And days like these, children like you.
Wow.
I mean, a bird just flew by, so you know, it's fine.
Yeah, certainly. Well, it's like 8:30 here, so whatever.
So this is the with that, thank you very much, and hope to see you next time. But first, let's see if there's anybody available to raid at this hour. And so yeah, we'll be raiding Dumpstat Charisma. So
What an interesting
please,
name.
So please join
Really
in.
good, folks.
Bye.
Great thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it did the right thing.